over the last year. We'll open this up to any citizens' comments for any items that may not be on the agenda that they want us to be aware of. And hearing none, we'll proceed with tonight's meeting. First on our agenda was we're trying to contact Bob Keane at 36 Wilsondale Street for purportedly, we're trying to confirm this fill that's within the wetland buffer. Janet, do you, we're looking for a contact phone number for Bob. When he worked at 6 Sterling, would you have his cell number by any chance?
I don't have any, I just have his email, which he has responded to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Okay.
responded to email.
Okay, then why don't Laura and I will talk tomorrow. We'll pull the folder, see if there's because he was at one of our site visit meetings. We may have his phone number there. We'll send out an email requesting that phone number as well.
So I just wanted to put a little context on this. So we're hitting 3 months now on this. We requested 5 pieces of information to determine if there was a violation. We received some information, but not complete. And the next step was to try to do a site inspection. The owner, Bob Keane, denied our ability to come onto the site. So unless we do get consent, there are 2 paths forward without consent. The first is if we can see the property from abutting locations. That is going to be really hard to do because it's a large property and very wet. The second is to apply for an administrative warrant through district or superior court. I've done this before. It's a straightforward process. It requires an affidavit either from myself or a commission member. So I think if you can reach him, again, our meeting isn't for another month. But I think saying we will take, further action to get onto the site. We have credible photos and abutter observations of fill brought in. So I have not had this situation in Dover before where someone who hasn't done something they shouldn't have denies access to their property. So,
Do we, well, I think we can also check with town council as part of that too. We have some implied access from what I recall. And we can do so with or without police. So we'll sort of step that up, but I'd like to get him, if I can get him on the phone directly and just builder to builder, see if he lets me in there. Tim, did you ever get that drone?
Yes, but I haven't flown it in a long time.
Okay.
So it's funny because Jim McLaughlin asked about that too. So DEP said drone evidence is not admissible. They do not recommend using drones. But the other option, and I'll talk more about the stormwater regs that the Board of Selectmen just passed yesterday. He did confirm that he brought in over 130 cubic yards of fill, which now triggers the stormwater regs. So
what's the threshold for that?
100.
Okay.
And that's anywhere on your property, not within wetlands. So I'm going to reach out to Mike Angieri, but he's probably going to have the same problem of trying to get onto.
Mike may have more experience with him directly, so he may even have contact information on him. So I think this lays out a plan of attack there. I doubt that he wants us to go the administrative route, but we have several options here that we should be able to straighten out within the next week in terms of communication.
Yeah, is there an open order of conditions there?
No.
So he has a long driveway that goes down that appears to have some wetlands on the side of the driveways.
Oh, okay.
A lot of wetlands.
What we don't really know is where these grainy photos are relative to the wetland. And that's all we want to ascertain. And chances are, I think Jen didn't even mention he basically had it so that he could generally in things like this, he probably got it for free. He knows somebody else who will want it shortly. And he took it, and by the time we're done here, it may be gone, but we still need to follow through on this. Especially as we're in the middle of the rainy season, and there's no guarantee that he's put tarps over there or silt barriers or anything. Laurie and I will discuss tomorrow phone numbers, and we'll also contact Mike and Jerry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to see Mike, so I'll reach out to him.
Oh, okay, great,
and
absolutely,
explain
yeah,
it to
great.
him.
Yep, and actually on a parallel basis, bring it to Mike's attention so that Mike may just take a drive down there. So, okay, let's see, 210 Claybrook Road. Are they?
Yeah, I'm here, John.
Oh,
I'll be
Jeff. Oh,
representing.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jenna, why don't you fill us in on this?
So this property has an existing order of conditions. This was for it was a tear down of a smaller home, a new build, and they came in for a certificate of compliance a while back, and had partially put a fence in the back of the property which had not been permitted, and I recommended that if they wanted to complete the fencing around, they really needed to come in for two things. The first was a minor modification to the order of condition, and then a waiver request because portions of the fence are within the 70-foot no structure setback. So Mr.
And you're
Keene,
saying that's also within a previously disturbed area?
Yes.
oh yeah, the lawn went back. Well, it's currently in a disturbed area now. As far as the lawn went back, yes.
Okay.
I did include a photo in my report. So I
Just to
did.
jump in, Janet, that was disturbed before too. That was the old lawn of your existing house.
Yeah. So I did meet the owner on site. He was concerned for his children's safety about not getting in not going into the wild area, but also they have a lot of wildlife, deer, coyotes that they don't want coming through the yard. And so based on the existing and proposed conditions, I am recommending approval of the minor modification and the waiver request. Let's see. I think also because this abuts a really heavily wooded natural area, our usual requirement of some clearance for wildlife passage isn't really necessary. It's a fairly small lawn. And I don't think that in this case that's necessary. And then my only other comment was, I don't know if Lori, if you received the minor modification and waiver request fees.
So I do have the minor modification fee was dropped off by the owner. The waiver request fee, that would have been, I would think, was that supposed to come in a long time ago, or was this supposed to come in with the fence?
The waiver request fee was recent.
It was recent.
Yeah, well,
So
it was called an exception, but it's really
Yes.
a waiver. It's really
Mhm.
under the regs, it's the waiver.
So we have a
So
waiver.
the problem is, I don't have the file. I usually indicate on the cover of the file when the fees are received. I do have the check here for the
Mhm.
exemption or the minor modification. But I think maybe you might have the file because I can't find it in the office.
do
So I
we have
can't confirm if the waiver fee was received or not. We can ask Jeff.
Okay, so we have a separate fee for a modification and then a separate fee for the waiver, is that?
That's
is that
right.
how- Okay.
So there's
So
two,
we have-
the homeowners weren't aware there was two, because we were putting this under the exception based on your bylaws. If there's a second fee, I'm sure they're not gonna have an issue with getting it. We did tell them to go bring one down this week, and I think Laura, you just received that.
They did,
So if
yeah.
there's now a second fee, we can just pass that on. Michelle will be
Okay,
right
so
down to get that paid.
one fee is for requesting the modification, and the other one is requesting the waiver for the structure. In the
Okay, so the
76.
modification fee, what is that? That's the same fee?
That's-
100?
Is that a D? Go ahead.
That's
Lori?
actually 500, but you're right that the setback performance standard allows for an exception for fences if approved. So I could see the commission waiving that waiver request fee.
So do we, the modification fee, is that $100?
Yes.
Okay, and that's something that the town keeps, or do we have to send some of that to DEP or?
No, that all goes to the general fund. We don't keep any of that under, anything that comes in under just the bylaw, which is most of the funds, that goes right
Mhm.
into the general fund.
Okay.
We don't keep
So
any.
then our waiver fees are 500 each, so if somebody does a waiver within 50 and then a waiver within 70, it's $1,000?
That's right.
Okay, doke. And so you're recommending at this point that since they're requesting an exception as part of their amendment, and exceptions are allowed in the in an original notice of intent, that we can rationalize accepting the $100 fee is the $100 fee is the sole fee for this?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on that? Okay, does anyone need to see a plan by Jeff, or go ahead and this looks pretty minor. No further questions? Okay, then I will and I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Do we have to close the
Actually,
hearing?
was
for
this-
minor
was this-
modification? I don't think so. I
Excuse-
think we just approve it.
Okay, and this is I also want to just double check. Okay, so this is not yeah, it's just the approval of an order of conditions, not a COC.
No, there will be another step after this fence is completed. We will still need to have a COC issued. So
COC,
Janet
right.
will have to come out and inspect one more time.
Okay, so this is part of the ongoing, so you're saying, Tim, you don't see a need
Yeah,
to close this?
the hearing for the COC is closed.
Okay, so we're just doing okay,
So we're,
Then I'll
yeah.
entertain a measure to, a motion
Yes,
to,
move to approve the minor modification and the waiver of the exception fee.
of the waiver
The,
fee, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
whatever we call it.
Okay,
Second. Oh,
thank
sorry.
you. All in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, great.
Thank you
Jeff.
all. Appreciate it.
Let's see, next we have 35 Brookfield Road. This is Al Sepper for grading in the buffer zone. Janet and I met with Al last week. I can't, my days are running into each other. And pretty much he had shown a plan at the last meeting that his architect had laid out, which was pretty much on the money relative to what we saw for on-site circumstances. Al, did you have a chance to copy that plan?
Yes,
That-
yes, thanks for stopping by the other day. It was very helpful. Yes, I gave a copy to Lori last week after our meeting.
Okay,
The large paper, the way you highlighted the trees and everything. So that actual plan is with Lori. Yeah.
okay. And you received that, Lori?
That was sent out to everyone, and the copies that Janet wanted were left in her inbox in the office.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I didn't see that revised.
It wasn't there. I looked after I read your email, I think yesterday, and the plan wasn't there. So do you think it got mixed up with something else? Because it was in there.
I haven't been in the office since that site visit. So, but you sent a copy out by email to everyone,
Yes.
and I didn't receive that.
I just pulled that up. That went out, yesterday.
Was I on that? Just-
Let's take a look.
I don't know where you had a paper copy. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but there were two plans. One was a pool plan that Al referred to at the last meeting, and then the other one was Janet, an enlargement of the original one. That's what you had asked me to
Right.
send.
But then after our site visit, Al was supposed to submit a revised document, and I have not seen that one.
So Al, did you drop that off where it had all the little?
Yes, yes. So, yes,
tree notes?
exactly. Yes, so I went to the office and Lori helped me with a large printer. We copied that plan that you highlighted, the trees and everything. So she has that. And I have the original, Lori has the copy. And this was, I believe, last Thursday yeah.
So
That's
Lori,
the one
plan-
March 20th, marked March 20th.
Yeah. So I'm just
Yes.
looking, Lori, I have something from you on March 24th, but it just has those two existing plans. What I don't see is and I'm looking to see if we have something else there. Let me just punch in.
You didn't get the one from March 20th?
No, not the one with the trees on it itself.
I just looked in my email and the email that you originally sent was 310.
Yeah, there's another one from 317.
I have three
And-
plans and
Well-
two of them are 11 by 17. One is stamped March 17th, one is stamped March 20th.
Okay, so let me just take a look. I have from you on March 17th. Oh no, I guess it from you on March 24th was sent out, but the
Is
plans
there
that
a
I
stamp on the plan?
no, the plans are the original plans that show, you know, one the original ones that show the pool, and let me just get out of that one, and also show the proposed, but they don't show the actual trees that Al and I had written on the plan. Do you have an idea what date you may have sent that out, Lori?
I believe I sent it out the day I received it on March 20th.
Okay, let me look for March 20th.
And Janet, if I didn't copy you, I'm sorry, but I put a hard copy in your inbox. And it's gone, so I figured you got it.
The only hard copies I received was the large pool plan and then the plan originally submitted. I did not get the revised plan based on our site meeting. I definitely did not get that.
That's strange. Okay, because I
Okay.
noted on here that I put it in your inbox on the same day. I got it.
And that would have been the 20th?
20th. That was last Thursday, because I can remember doing it before I left, so it'd be done before the weekend.
Huh.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
not
have
se-
it, I
Well,
mean,
John and I did our site inspection on the 19th with
Mhm.
Al.
So then it sounds like Al went right in.
yeah, he went in on the 20th, because he said
Yep.
to me, we met on site.
Yep. And all I got was from Monday from you, Lori. I see the original plans, but I
So
don't
if I may
see.
interject, I just scanned that and the plan that we were talking about that I dropped at the office last week. I can share the screen if that helps.
Oh, yeah. that-
Yeah, good. Why don't we allow Al to share that?
So if you see it right here.
And let's see if you can blow that up a little.
Sure. Is that good enough, you think?
Let's see. I
Oops.
zoomed in on my own, so let me zoom in. Are folks able to see this primarily at the ends of the corners of each line?
Yes.
So these are the
Okay.
trees that were marked by you too.
Okay. So in this commissioners, the solid blue line that's at the end of the hash marks there is the extent of what they're looking to do for grading into the buffer. And the curve line is the 100-foot buffer. And this is all heavily vegetated duff, very, very level. The tree line that you can see there around the edges is where the original grass is. And if you go over to the left, Al, outside that line, there are a couple dead trees. Most of these trees are very dead. So those two trees, there's a 12-inch and a 6-inch. We agreed that they should come down because there may be some grading that might extend to the roots there. Then as you move to the right corner, there's a series of 3 dead trees. And I have in parentheses, they're D for diseased or damaged. Those, we had no problem taking those, allowing those to come down. There is a 30-inch oak there that's also diseased. And then as we move down farther, in the area that's actually inside the solid line, there is a series of trees. There's a 30-inch oak that would probably be damaged by the grading, and the other 2 trees are already damaged. And so, and the grading gave them at least a 3-to-1, if not a 4-to-1 slope. No concerns about runoff or anything like that. Janet, does that confirm your memory of our discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that this plan, if Al sends this along, if we don't already have it, or he just does it as a backup, that this qualifies for what you needed?
Yes, we were just waiting for the revised site plan. That was all we needed. Yep.
Okay. So, so Al, if you can go ahead and just email that, just in case we, for some reason, don't can't find the one that you and Lori worked on. That should close this out.
Of course.
Okay. And let's see, given that, is this submitted, Janet, as a formal RDA?
Yes, and I have listed 8 special conditions because it is a bit of work. The first is our first signage, which is protected wetland area, no dumping. The next is no use of pesticides, herbicides. I sort of feel like the requirement for permanent bounds is not needed, but that's up to the commission. 4th condition is all disturbed lawn areas shall be reestablished and stabilized upon completion of construction activities. Number 5, no stockpiling within the 100-foot buffer. 6 is all construction materials and equipment, again, stored outside the 100-foot buffer. 7, the stumps of all trees to be removed shall remain in place in order to provide soil stabilization. So Al, if maybe a foot of the stumps, unless they're in the middle of your lawn area and would be a hazard, if you can retain the stumps. And then there is existing erosion control that looks sufficient as long as that stays in place. So
Sure.
those 8
Yeah.
conditions.
That was in the email, right? Because I need to share that with the landscaper and everyone on the site.
Yes.
Those were in
Yep.
email.
And we're gonna go ahead and there'll be a written document that will be sent out to you that will incorporate these things.
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Do I hear a second?
Sorry, yes, second.
Okay, all in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna? And I'm an aye.
Okay, move to issue a negative determination of applicability for the project with the 8 special conditions on the agent's report.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Anna? Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, great. And go forth and grade.
So thank you. I just
Yep,
need to,
thank-
I will send the plan to you guys obviously right now, but then documentation will be picked up by me from the office, or how's the next step?
Lori?
So the permit will be created and then we need the signatures on it. And then I can contact Al when it's ready and he can pick it up.
So early next week, do you think you'd have that paperwork done, Lori?
By next week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sounds great. I appreciate all the work. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your help out.
Good
Bye.
evening.
Okay, next we have 30 Mill Street, a notice of intent for a septic system replacement. Why don't you fill us in, Janet?
Sure, and Russ Waldron is here on behalf of the applicant as well.
Is Rob Truex as well, it looks like.
Yes.
Mhm.
So this is fairly straightforward. There are two waiver requests. One is to allow disturbance, which is grading within the 50-foot. And then the actual structure, a portion of the actual septic system is within the 70-foot. We have not received either of those waiver requests, so we do need those from the applicant. And then also the waiver request fees we need. So I think those were the main concerns. Also, just confirmation that there are to be no trees are going to be removed or impacted. I'd like to see the location for the stockpiling and equipment storage outside the 100-foot wetlands buffer. Now, it was clear that they did septic testing on the site within the buffer zone. So for future reference, Russ and Rob, we do require an RDA even for septic testing within the 100-foot buffer. So that you should have come, someone should have come in for that before the testing was done. They are proposing a 6-foot high chain link fence. We'd like to see 5 inches of open clearance on the bottom for wildlife passage. The site plan needs to be revised. It does not show the 70-foot no structure setback. Also, I was following the wetland line, and the 50-foot no disturb setback line is not accurate in all areas. It's off by quite a bit in some areas. So if you can take a look at that and then redraw that on the site plan. I didn't know if there were any, I looked along Mill Street, I could not find any catch basins, but if there are any, we'd like to see silt sacks in those. And then I would like to see the erosion control measures around all areas of disturbance leading down towards the riverfront. You have erosion control towards the back of the project, towards the BVW, but as much as possible, I'd like to see that because that does head down to the riverfront area. And it was a challenge to confirm the entire wetland delineation because of the vegetation. So I'm recommending that we not approve the delineation. And then we would note that in the order of conditions. And that also actually should be indicated on the site plan. If you can revise it to say that the wetland line has not been approved.
Okay.
And that's it.
So this part of Mill Street, Russ or Rob, is this fairly steep grade up from Mill Street to the house, or is it relatively flat?
I'll speak. Rob Truex from Truex Engineering Group. It's not steep, no, but it does go up gradient from the Charles River.
No, I know that further down, it farther down. It
Yeah,
gets
I mean, from Mill Street, we go up, the house is sitting up probably 15 feet from the street, but it's not steep in the front yard.
Okay. So the erosion, so Jenny, you're looking for an erosion control barrier to basically come around the front where it's shown on the where the proposed leach bed is.
Yep, that's right.
So would it be acceptable? I think if we just ran it up where the proposed fence line is, Janet, towards the house, keep the fence inside the barrier. Is that what you're thinking?
Let me grab that plan. Just a
I can pull it up on my screen and share it if you'd
Okay.
like.
Yeah, why don't you do
would be
that,
good.
Rob, so commissioners have a chance to see what's at play here.
And I actually on this plan, I actually put the 70-foot buffer on so you could see it for purposes of
Mhm.
discussion.
Okay.
So this is the existing house. Driveway comes up this side. Comes all the way back to about here and then goes around into the garage over here on this side. So this is the wetland line around the property, comes all the way around. And then the Charles River is across the street. So we put the system, probably the only place we could put it, as you can see, where I straddled it between the two wetland lines, 68 feet on one side, 66 to the other, to the actual corner of it. And then this is where the fence we're proposing would come around the limit of work and go up and tie back into the house. So I guess I would just extend this hay bale line right up here, and this kind of goes uphill towards the house. This is, you can see the contours going up. So we could run it up here to the corner of the house, which would be fine.
Mm-hmm. And where's the existing system?
Right here.
Okay.
So this is the existing tank. This is the
Mhm.
existing system. This is in the groundwater. I think that was the reason for failure. We had a groundwater here at 24 to 30 inches was our water
Mhm.
table. So this is a mounded system. It's a leaching bed and it's mounded up about, the grade here is going to go up about 4 feet in elevation.
Mhm.
So it's pretty significant. You know, it's a raised system. It's a lot. So just to clarify a couple quick things, we did file an RDA on this for the soil testing. You gave us permission to do the testing. That was back around, I want to say around Christmas time. So we did have an RDA, Janet, to do the testing.
I don't think so. Are you sure? Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I see
Okay,
a
sorry about
negative
that.
RDA in my notes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem. That's all right. So just to go through Janet's comments a little bit. So as far as like the stockpiling goes, I don't think I need to designate a specific area, because what happens with this type of system is they'll come in here and clear out the brush and the grubs. That we do have to cut down one significant tree. It's right here in the middle of the system. It's a 22-inch oak. So they'll cut that. There's a couple small saplings that are like 3 inches. This used to be their yard area, and it's just been let go for several years. So it's like there's some briars, there's some brush, there's some rhododendrons that have overgrown. So they'll have to clean that all out, and that will be scraped out. The tree will come down, the stumps will go, the brush and all that will be put in a truck and taken off site. And then the next step is they dig this limit of excavation. So they're going to dig down about 2.5 feet. And that's going to be the top and subsoil. And what they'll do with that is they don't need to stockpile it, because they're going to fill this all in around the system. So that material will be cast out around the perimeter of the system, because that's all fill anyway. And then they'll leave this open. They'll back their trucks up the driveway. They'll be able to come right up in here and dump their sand and build up the system. So they'll be bringing in sand for the septic system, and then they'll be bringing in probably a load or so of loam to put on the top, because there's not going to be any loam out there that they're going to be able to salvage. So I don't think a specific stockpiling area. We won't be stockpiling anything per se on the site. They don't need to do that. It's not like they're digging a foundation and they have to do that. And again, I didn't see any catch basins either out in Mill Street in the vicinity of the project. It looks like Mill Street's an old road and everything just flows off the site. So it's probably just going down both sides, some areas, some into the wetlands, some into the Charles River. We did not have to ask for any Title V waivers to put the system in. It's a Title V compliant system. We met the setbacks to the wetlands, which is 50-foot minimum. We met the setback to the existing well, which is 100-foot minimum. We straddled this thing right in here. We're gonna redo the plumbing in the house because it comes out under the slab now and goes to this tank out in the back, so we're gonna redo that, so we don't have to put a pump system in. The backyard, as you can see, the existing grade through here is about 106, but the grade up around the house is around 111. So by the time and the deck's up around 112, the first floor of the house, so by the time they fill this in, and we'll give them a nice little grass backyard area. And so, like I said, we do need to cut one significant tree. It's 22 inches in size. Our surveyors did not locate all the trees in the buffer zone. It just didn't, because they don't technically do that for a septic upgrade, and they just didn't have marching orders when they went out there to do that, and it just takes a lot more time, obviously. There are several trees within this area outside the limit of work between the wetlands, in the wetlands, all around. You know, the lot extends out to its 2.9 acre lot. We're not utilizing even probably a third of the lot. We're using a very small portion of it for the home. What else can I add to this? There was a couple other things. Oh, I did request a waiver in my project description. I don't think I requested the 50-foot no disturb one. I think I just asked for the 70-foot structure one. But I can give a separate letter for both of those waivers. That's not an issue at all. I think other than that, we don't really have any issues with any of the requests. The fence, we don't have a problem leaving space under the fence. She does want to have the fence for protection for small animals and for children. She was at the site one day and there were coyotes in the backyard. So it is a pretty wooded area. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as the wetland line goes, if Janet didn't have time to confirm the whole thing, I don't think that's an issue going forward. Obviously, if something was being done on this lot further, I don't know where you would do it, but if something was being done, they would just refile and look at the line again. So I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward for a septic, and this is not a long-term project. When they come in here and do these things, it's about a 2-week to 3-week maximum to get them in, get them finished, graded, and reseeded. So it's a short-term project.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Nope.
And I had a question relative to the waiver requests, in terms of waiver fees, and our grandfathering, aspect on something that's a necessary repair. Is there a request to waive fees?
We didn't ask for it. Is that something the commission has allowed before? We would ask for it if you allow us to.
Well, I just wanted to open it up to the commission members, if any input on the part of the commissioners.
I actually feel that in general, septic systems can be a little bit, we can be a little bit more lenient with them. It's not a choice. So
I agree.
I would be in favor of waiving the fees.
Okay. Then, okay, Janet, anything else that you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
And do we have all the data in that we need to vote on this tonight?
No, so we need a revised plan as noted. And then we also need the 2 waiver requests. We did receive the alternatives analysis under Riverfront, but I did not see either of the waiver requests, so we do need those.
I only asked for the one, I believe. It was in my project description at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the 50-foot. I think I only had the 70. So I'd have to revise that letter. Well, I'll just write a new letter with the 2 waivers plus the waiver for the fee. Would
Okay.
you feel comfortable conditioning the approval tonight with the revised plan and these waiver letters and all this coming to the board?
Does anybody have an objection?
I would be, I mean, I would be much more comfortable getting the revised plan in hand.
Well, what's the revision that you want? The fact just.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
The plan, let's see, I just went through them all.
There was a 70-foot buffer.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's
Noting
not shown
that-
on this, but it's not on the plan you have.
Yeah.
right, and the plan showing the clearance on the fence.
No,
And then you've added the 70-foot here, but the plan I have
correct.
wasn't on that. Let's see. Silt sacks. Oh, and then extending the erosion control line.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That needs to be on the revised plan. And also the statement that the wetland line has not been approved or confirmed by the Concom.
I think the 50-foot line also need to be corrected.
Oh, yes, that's right. The 50-foot line, if you look towards the far left side, you can see that that's much further than 50 feet.
oh, down here.
Yeah,
Well, what happens is the intersect, when you offset the lines, it's because of this point right here, it intersects right here from this point.
okay,
So no, yeah, that's correct. It's what happens when you
Okay.
come from like flag 26 and you draw an arc, you come out
Yep.
here. And when you come from 35, you come out here. So from here to there is over 50, but in here it's not. That's why you get, it's kind of it's a little misleading right there, but that's why.
It's also it's more conservative if you're gonna view it.
Yeah, it might be, but it
Yeah.
you won't get 50 from this. This isn't 100 feet across, so you lose this.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's why it looks that way, but it's not that way.
Yeah.
It's correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
so, John,
ahead,
I
Jan.
just, in light of the fact that, the next meeting has been canceled, that I think it would be reasonable if the commission's comfortable, that, you could go ahead and vote to close and approve the waivers, although we don't have them. Well, I don't know, that would be up to the commission. And then you could hold off, issuing the, order of conditions until the revised plan and waivers are received.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
would be
that-
I think that-
comfortable with that.
Usual.
We would, yeah, you could hold the order until we bring you the revised information. Absolutely. I would be very
Mhm.
comfortable with that.
Yeah, it works for me.
I'm fine with that
Okay.
too. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely
Great.
fine.
Great, Rob, you can take the plan down. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to
Um,
close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second,
All in favor, Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Okay, move to approve the waivers for the 50 and 70-foot setbacks.
Second,
All in favor, Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Okay, move to waive the waiver fees.
Okay,
Second,
all in favor, Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Move to issue an
Oh.
order of conditions approving the project with the restrictions and special conditions in the report, in the agent's report.
Janet,
Um,
hand up, just so you guys
Yeah,
know.
before we do
Janet?
that, Janet,
So I was not expecting that we were gonna close an issue tonight, so I did not draft special conditions. But I guess we could note that there are standard special conditions about signage and stockpiling and, let's see if there's, I
yeah,
guess,
those,
Yeah,
All
those
this-
are standard conditions. They're always there.
yeah. So I guess the special conditions outlined for 35 Brookfield would be applicable. Yeah,
so Rob, are you familiar with generally there are around 8 special conditions that we have that outline signs along, in this case, you have a fence, which is great. There'd probably be 2 signs just to say that there's nothing to be dumped beyond there.
Yeah,
And
I know the signs.
and no pesticide usage and so forth.
Sure.
Yeah, so Tim, I think granting the order of conditions subject to the receipt of the revised plan noting that there, the wetlands line is used but not accepted due to the time of year. And then with the subject to is the, what else, the revised plan and the request for waivers and the subject to the eight special conditions normally imposed in plans of this nature.
Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor, Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
All right,
Okay.
great. Thank you,
Great.
everyone. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Night.
No.
Okay, then, let's see, 92 Main Street, was that continued?
Yes, that was a continuance. We were waiting for the
Okay,
number and the revised plan.
okay, and 88 Pine Street, is that continued as well?
Well, no, they're here to discuss 92. We're all set. We have the
Oh.
DEP and the revised plan.
Oh,
But-
so for 92, okay, that's
It
what
is a- Yeah, it's a continued hearing on that.
okay, okay. And so, so I don't have your regulations, oh, there we are. So your sense is, at this point, do they have the DEP number?
Yes.
Okey-doke. So, your recommendation is to proceed with approval?
That's right. We received a revised plan that addressed all the issues we discussed at the last hearing, and there are 6 special conditions.
Okey-doke.
Okay.
Any
Okay,
questions on the part of commissioners? Okay,
move to close the hearing.
Second,
thank you. All in favor, Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Move to issue an order of conditions approving the project as proposed with the 6 special conditions in the agent's report.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor, Anna?
Aye.
Conservation? I'm looking right at myself and I'm up there. Sorry about
Second.
that.
Yes,
Yeah, yes, exactly. The answer is yes. Sarah,
yes.
Tim,
Aye.
and conservation is an aye. Okay, congratulations, and check in with Lori and in terms of when the sometime next week for the order of conditions.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Let's see, next is, so 88 Pine, is that the one that's been continued?
Yes,
Okay. And then Eversource was continued as well?
that's right. Paul's doing the site inspection tomorrow.
Okey-doke. And let's see, I see Tom Trainer on, is there, Tom, are you here for anything in specifically?
Good evening. I'm actually just eavesdropping from across the river. I live in Sherborne, but I've been in contact with a couple of your members, and I was just curious if you'll get to it. I'm not sure you will, and I'm busy doing other things on my computer. I will admit, if you happen to talk about the high school artificial field replacement.
I don't know about the field replacement. Janet, do we have, is that part of our agent's report?
It was supposed to be, but Lori said it was too late to change the agenda on Monday. But I would like to discuss that. There is some urgency there.
Well, then why don't we jump ahead, since Tom is the lonely person on outside of the commissioners. So, so why don't you go ahead and fill us in on that?
So at our last meeting, I indicated that the high school consultants had approached me just to do sort of a courtesy review. They said the new track and field was outside the buffer, but they just wanted to check in. After further review of their site plans, there are 2 outfalls, drainage outfalls from the fields that are in the buffer on the closer side to the wetlands. I did send a site map out. I think I just got that yesterday or today. I can't remember. I've just gotten too much stuff lately. But my concern is, and I haven't been to the site yet, and this is coming to both the town of Sherborne and the town of Dover town meeting for approval. It's about a $2 million project. I think they're using some free cash, so they have it down to 1.6. And then the towns are splitting the cost. But my concern is that, and Tom also sent me an email with some concern about some dumping of what looked like turf field infill, which is the crumb rubber material being dumped. So I have a couple concerns on here, but the first is, it's my sense that we should pursue having a notice of intent filed on this. The outfalls are fairly close to the wetland. They do not look like they're in good shape. Also, they pulled their wetland line from Mass GIS. And based on what I've seen of maybe some storage and dumping close to the wetland, it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to review this site in a permitting fashion. So that is my recommendation. I don't think it's going to hold them up because they have to get their budget approvals in May.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think this would substantially add to the cost of their project unless, unless the outfall pipes are inadequate or are no longer functioning. We just don't know that. But it would be my sense for the commission to require a notice of intent for the project.
And are these outfall, do we know, are they draining the field, or do we know where they're where the origin is?
Yes, so the site plan I sent does show where they start.
Let's take a look there.
I think I sent
Oh.
that yesterday. I think I sent that.
Oh,
Yes.
let me go
Yes.
That
further
went
down.
out directly from the consultant to everyone.
So let's see, I have one, the one I pulled up was and maybe this, I don't know, Tom, who took the pictures of the crumble?
Yeah, that was
You know,
Tom.
oh, that was Tom?
Yeah,
So I have the maybe that's the email I'm looking at. Let me find Janet's. That seemed to have a GIS plan on it as well. So Janet, when did you send the one that showed the drainage?
I think it was yesterday.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Uh,
That came directly from the consultant because I requested that in an email. And then he sent that out, I believe, yesterday.
because I see a report of dumping storage of materials. So it's not under high school. It's might be under a different header.
No, it should have been high school track and field improvement project.
Okay, let me find this.
And I can't remember the consultant's name, Benjamin something, I think.
Okay.
I believe that went to I believe all the commissioners were on that email.
Yeah.
chain.
I got it.
Has anybody received it?
Yeah, both the crumb rubber and the one with the consultant.
Yes, it is Benjamin. And it was, I just got it up.
So
Yeah,
it's
it
under
looks like there was
Benjamin?
emails yesterday, maybe.
Yesterday at 10:51 from Benjamin McDowell, McDonough.
Activitas.com is the domain.
Boy, I can't believe how many conservation related emails I got yesterday.
It was really busy.
So I have a report of dumping storage. Is it, and this is something else?
Yes, and it came directly from the consultant, not from me.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see, Benjamin. Yeah, but okay, got it. Benjamin McDonough.
McDonough.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Yeah, but it only has the outfall locations.
Ah, let's take a look.
It showed the drainage line from the field. There are
Oh,
two.
okay, so that's where it does, or yeah, and it looks like it has some drainage channels up on the right hand end of the field, then coming down. Got it. And it goes past the 100-foot line.
Looks like it.
Okay,
I'm
and other,
very partial to these wetlands, so I would very much like them to at least come and talk about it.
mm-hmm. And yeah, so and then does that have do we have pictures of these outfalls? What is it that makes them concerning?
Yes, so I sent that out previously, so that would have been about maybe 5 days ago.
Okay, and would that have been high school as well in your header?
Yes.
I've got the photos up if anyone wants me to share my
Oh,
screen.
good. Why don't we do that then? That's the easiest thing.
Okay. Let's see. There
Oh.
we are.
Got them.
There's the first one.
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
I moved it
there's
to
quite a
myself.
erosion on at least one side. There's definitely runoff on the left side into that channel.
Mhm.
That comes
Yep.
in off the grass above it, or is coming out of the
Yeah,
the
right
culvert?
here.
See,
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then here's the other one.
Okay.
I
And
think
that's coming
that's
out
it.
into a channel.
Lost the letter.
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful to see what taking the other view, what sort of channel is formed by that. I'm not seeing any trap rock or anything like that.
And the other
That makes,
concern is the infill material, which is crumb rubber from old tires.
mm-hmm.
There have been studies, and Tom Trainer, I believe, is a PhD chemist, and he knows more about this than I do, but there is concern about the impact of residual runoff from crumb rubber into wetland and wildlife areas. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit more, but that's another reason to find out what actually is draining off of the track field, the field itself.
Anyone want me to pull up that slide?
Sure.
Okay. Where?
So that picture on the right looks like it's going down towards the wetlands. Is that correct?
That's not where I read it.
Yep, Mr. Chair, this is Tom Trainer again. Yeah,
Yeah.
I took those photos 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and
So that-
indeed, it looks like it's flowing into the brush in the wetland area.
Yeah, so the question I have is, number one, it looks like it was dumped there probably during construction, had a tarp over it that has been blown to shreds. It doesn't look like, I suppose we can find out from the athletic director whether they use it for any sort of repairs, but it's not.
They could be using it for maintenance. I've learned that fields occasionally add back more because the materials are constantly being depleted from
Mhm.
material that washes away from the surface and or from the players, clothing and what have you.
Yeah, no, the irony is that it washes away, and that's why they need to put it back. But here, it's clearly washing away
yeah, well,
again.
might be a good idea to ask them to put some hay bales
I think
on
so.
there.
Well, probably I would, given what I'm seeing, especially on that right-hand picture that concerns me. Well, number
Yeah.
one, it probably should be undercover. They could probably put it in a bin of some form, or they should have at the very least, I would say maybe even a silt fence.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty fine. There's also some, Tom, I've heard things about potential lead in some of the underlayment they have for some of these fields.
Well, crumb rubber specifically, if I could add a couple comments on that, recycled automobile and truck tires, where you do have many heavy metals, lead, zinc in particular, in the banding that's in your tires. But many other conservation commissions within Massachusetts, and you can find a lot of information from studies they've done for similar project reviews. The other things that are really potentially dangerous to the wetland resource areas are a lot of the organic chemicals put into tires, PAHs, volatile organics, but a real growing one is a compound that's used to stabilize the rubber in tires called 6-PPD-quinone, and it's highly toxic to fish and other aquatic species. So that is released constantly from the tires you're driving and from crumb rubber in fields.
So I can see where, I mean, this should be taken care of soon. But the other thing is, if the drainage is leaching those chemicals, whether how they would be dealt with, whether a sump, basin of some form is the proper way to handle that. I think that's something. So I think all this goes into sort of confirming. I agree with Janet that the potential for a notice of intent so that these things can be addressed. How's that sound to folks?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
And I think we should probably use, is it okay, Tom, if we use your photos, if we send a letter to the athletic director to try to get them on board to at least, and facilities management so that they stop this obvious portion of it, immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the groundskeeper, he should know. I mean,
Yeah, I know it's hidden behind things. It's,
Right.
it's left forgotten, the whole bit. And most folks have no idea what it is and what it could, and who knows, Tom, you saw that it actually is the rubber.
I actually was going to add, I think it's crumb rubber, but I don't work with it myself,
Yeah.
but it was
But
black
regardless-
and it was black and it was granular.
Yeah, well, regardless, it shouldn't be flowing into a wetland. So, okay, then, thank you very much. And so at the very least, commissioners, I would recommend that we vote on sending a letter of notification out to the high school to identify and rectify this pile and as soon as possible.
yes.
That works for me. I don't think we have to jump to enforcement. We just need to get people's attention.
No, I think,
Tracy D Flamenco, I think is her name. She's the assistant to the super.
And
that's what I deal with.
Janet, you have your hand on?
Yeah, so I would just suggest, so I will respond to the consultants on the improvement project, let them know at this point, we would like to see an NOI. And then if Lori can send a letter to the schools and ask them, I would include the photos and the map and then have them contact me to schedule a site meeting out there. And then go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I think on the request for the notice of intent, that there's drainage within the buffer, but also concern about hazardous materials leaching through that drainage system. and we'd like to have those addressed as part of the notice of intent. Okay.
Sooner
and,
rather than
Sounds
later.
great to me. Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we have a quick vote on sending a letter to the high school concerning this this hazard?
Sure, move to send a letter requesting or actually informing the school department that there is a potentially hazardous condition and that we would like them to file an order of conditions for this.
Well, I think on this first one is we
Project.
want to get this removed or covered, and then the other part will take care of the notice of intent when Janet interacts with the consultants.
Okay, then I move that we send a letter to the school department informing them of the danger of the material potentially being leached into the wetlands.
Excuse me. Sorry, I knew that was gonna happen. Second.
So that's a second, right?
Oh, it's a second.
A sneeze in a second, yeah. Great. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Thank you very much, Tom, for bringing this to
Thank,
our
thank you
attention.
for listening to our concerns. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, so next, we're looking at the minutes from November 8th. Did anyone have a chance to take a look at Janet's notes on that?
I will be honest and say no, but I trust Janet completely.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I looked at him, but if you think it was a while ago, so I don't remember.
let's see. Janet had a concern. One of them was that in light of the use of funds in the statute, members discuss using the operating budget for trail maintenance versus setting up a specific fund for trail maintenance that is allowed to accumulate, as well as budgeting for land management plans. I think we can leave that as is. We know what it meant, and if anyone wants some clarification on it, we can do that. That just gives us the flexibility to move things around rather than having yet an additional separate budget for that. I think as we move forward and we start to if we can get a trails maintenance committee, I'll have Sherburne or something, then something like that might be helpful. Or as we've seen with the Kennedy Center, we can just get a sponsor to come up with trail maintenance. But okay, and I think on the next paragraph she mentioned deleting a sentence because it didn't basically flow properly and convey the information. I'm fine with that. And what I didn't see, and that's as far as I got. So now I'm just seeing this. So this is actually pretty, this deals with what we talked about at our last meeting regarding Janet's budget and everything like that. Let's make sure this one is correct because we'll probably want to submit these minutes directly as part of any sort of budgeting plan going forward. And this is the stuff that deals with consulting service run rate, what the town should be doing, surveying other towns and things like that. So I am, please review this for our next meeting. And then I am, because I'd like this to make sure that this conforms to along the ideas of what we talked about at our last meeting. Okay, so why don't we table this until then? Okay, and Lori's also informed me that it's been very hard to find anybody in town to get additional funding for the for polishing off the balance of the minutes. And so Lori, are we out of money on that, or do we have like another $900 or something, or where do we stand on that? Oh,
This year
you're
through June.
Yeah, a little closer to the mic, please.
For the rest of this year through June, we're out of money. We
Okay.
put money in next year's budget, which starts July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, we can't go to it yet.
no,
Okay. So we're just, and I guess you're under the impression the selectmen are having a similar issue?
no, Mona has money in her budget to
Oh.
do her minutes.
Could she do a solid for a friend?
I know.
So we'll continue. We don't want to lose this person, so we will continue to try to see if we can get a transfer on that. Also, we are going to have to submit a transfer request for the balance of the year for Janet, as we had alluded to at the last thing. So Laura and I will touch base on that, and obviously we'll bounce numbers off Janet as well. But that won't. I'm going to be away for early April, but then our next meeting is until later in April, so that we hopefully we'll have some numbers pulled together then.
I just give you a heads up that it has not been busier. This is maybe when we were handling the Miller Hill enforcement action, but I'm getting 1 to 2 to 3 requests a day for either site inspection or enforcement. Or I'm going to start, if you don't mind, I would like to start copying the full commission on a lot of these things, just so you're aware of the volume of requests for tree removals and for enforcement follow-up, because it's reached an all-time high. And I
Yeah,
don't know
that'd
what
be
to
great.
do. If you want me to continue to work, I will, but I think at the last meeting you said we are out of budget in my professional consulting service budget now. As of the last month, as of February.
I think we have a little under $100 to spot you, but no, so that's it. Laura and I will be going hat in hand to for transfer there. So I'd like to get that done. Laura and I will discuss some of that early next week before I head out, and I'll deal with things by phone as well. So we're aware of that.
Okay.
So let's see. Next is a land management work group update.
Yes. So let's see. We're planning to do some trail maintenance on Saturday. So all are welcome, and please get the word out. I also emailed Chris Costello, who will post on Facebook and stuff like that. Let's see. So that's happening. We're also planning to do one that we're going to circulate a little better for Earth Day. It's the week, like the Saturday after, and hopefully we can use the open space Eventbrite and just sort of get the word out so folks can come along and do that. Still hanging trail signs and trimming branches now that the ice is gone. We worked on getting the equestrians right-of-way trail sign done, and decided the plan is to do some bigger ones at the trailheads that sort of explain the right-of-way, and then just do reminders at like trail crossings where it's just equestrians have right-of-way. We decided not to get terribly wordy about cyclists versus hikers, with the assumption that people will kind of sort that out, but everyone needs to know to get out of the way of horses, full stop. That's the plan for that right now.
And when you mention,
then we're
is that what you mean when you're referring to doing maintenance, or are you doing any, pickaxes in the ground type of maintenance, or is it mostly that sort of stuff?
well, we're working first on the blue trail because it's the biggest. So we were hanging like blue trailblazers and cutting branches when they're getting in the way. We are talking about trying to cut some trails around this neighborhood, since we have the tax taken parcels that we converted, and get a better access to Chase and maybe to the Sanger DLCT land, or to the Hunt Drive DLCT land. Everyone's trying to meet with Amy to walk around the woods and see if we can find some possible trails.
Great. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, continue.
And then last of all, I think we all just need to schedule a time to meet with Bill out at Springdale Meadow. That's
So that
gone. I
got
think everyone
canceled
here has
from the-
responded. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I saw Tim couldn't make it and I can't make that.
And I
for
can't make
the-
it either. I can't make the 5th as
Okay.
well.
So it looks like we'll need to have Bill reschedule a little later in the month if we can arrange for that. And who's taking the lead on that is who's interfacing with Bill?
That would be me.
Jan's? Yeah.
What, Janet? Is it? Okay.
Saturday 18th.
Oh, you're breaking up there. What's that?
Saturday, April 19th.
Works for me.
John,
Yeah,
you're on through the 13th, is that right?
right, exactly. So no, the 19th is looks let me just make sure. Yes, so the 19th would work.
And everyone else, Sarah?
Unfortunately, we're in hunt season, so I'm gonna be hunting that day.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Amy, you probably,
So- No, Amy is not, Amy doesn't hunt with us, so.
okay,
I don't have anything on my calendar,
okay.
Okay.
So if
Anna?
you can hold, if you
but it
can
is Patriots Day, official Patriots Day.
hold. Yeah, it's the
Okay,
Saturday.
so we come either red or blue. So
What if by land?
I was gonna say, lantern and all.
yeah,
All right, I know Bill's on vacation, but I'll shoot him an email, but if you can hold the morning or early afternoon, like 10 to 1, and then Bill can meet out there. Okay, very good.
okay.
We'll
Okay,
get,
great. Thank
I
you.
know he wants,
I just had the
and get-
idea. Let's ping open space and see if they want to join. I know Greg and Rick will tell them, but maybe other people want to join too.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Like schedule it for us, and anyone else who wants to come should come.
No, but once we get it scheduled,
Yeah.
but
think that's
Lori,
a
you
good
had your
idea,
yeah,
I
Lori.
just wanted to, Anna emailed me for balances, and today was the first chance I had to run a report for trail maintenance. And I can email these to you too, Anna. 17,895 left in trail maintenance, and there's still the 5,000 in land management planning. We haven't paid anything out on that.
So do we expect this fiscal year to pay Bill something?
yes, yes.
Okay. And then on land management, do we have an idea of what may be spent out of land management for land management?
We haven't totally decided. Some order of hundreds for signs. I don't
Mhm.
know what else we're doing on lumber.
Mm-hmm. And do we have that ability to, we have used that in the past for Janet's bills, is that correct? Laurie?
We have in the past, yeah.
Yeah, so there's the potential utility there. I'd like to not do that if we can get money from the town. But I'd also like to come up with if, things that we could spend that on before the end of the fiscal year, such as either surveying bounds, so, some things that we might be able to address relatively easily, although we might be a time issue with surveyors at this point, but it's
That's
something
okay.
to give some thought to on a parallel basis.
I think we meet before the next Concom meeting, so we will come up with some estimates.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
But
let's see.
quick question, do we use, have we used pressure treated lumber on any of these projects?
We used it a little bit for the middle layer of the bog bridge, but otherwise no.
Okay, because it would be a good idea to make sure which kind of stuff it is. If it's the copper arsenate stuff, you probably don't want to.
Oh no, we've been really careful about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I think a
I
lot of that
just
is
heard a thing about it. There's also something called KDAT. It's expensive, but it's kiln dried. So they put the chemicals on first, then they kiln dry it, and it lasts like 10 times as long or something.
Because I think the
Makes sense.
CCA stuff has really, I haven't seen it on the market for a while. But yeah, it was the primary one.
It's evidently around a little bit.
Yeah.
it can sneak in, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Still do it.
yeah, I'll be mindful, and then, the KDTA stuff, if, if it's something you wanna, add to your list of things to look up, Anna.
Yeah.
Because I thought most of your stuff was that mostly oak that you got roughs on?
Yeah, the top was all oak. We got roofs on. The base was the PVC pipe, and I just texted Rick to figure out if we did anything pressure treated in the
Was it-
middle
was
that
it-
wasn't in ground.
Was it white oak?
I believe so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was the one
Yeah.
that Greg drove out to Ashfield for to find like
Okay.
the one sawmill he could
it's-
find.
I don't know if you ever done this. If you take a piece of red oak, you can blow through it. A little piece.
I've not tried that.
Well, it's that and what happens with white oak is that it gets filled with this other stuff from the trees.
Mm.
So that's why it's rot resistant, and red oak
Mhm.
is definitely not.
Yeah.
Maybe the thing to
No, I
keep in mind
remember.
is whether or not we have any large cedars, on the properties.
We need to find that. Boynton Glen took down one, I think, and
Mhm.
then we sent it to Jay Crocker for milling, and then we were
Good,
gonna get
good.
it back, and I don't know where we are on that.
No, that's exactly the circuit that I imagined, because Jay has his portable mill, and it can be
Yeah.
useful. And then we can stockpile it for whatever, but it's even better than the white oak. So,
So it's better for the stuff underneath. It wears faster. So
yeah, right. It's the
trade-off.
irony is it's softer yet more water resistant,
Right.
than white oak. So,
Softwood or
okay.
hardwood.
Why don't we move on to Janet's agent report?
Okay, there was an other business.
Oh,
I-
did I miss that?
There was any other business?
Nope.
Nope, I didn't see any.
Okay. Okay, let's see, at our last meeting, I mentioned at 6 Meadowbrook, they hadn't filed their monthly progress reports. They also have finished the home. And we got a copy of the some of the monthly progress reports. But Lori, I just wanted to confirm that the letter you sent out gave them that April 9th deadline for the COC.
For 6 Meadowbrook.
Right. We talked about,
That was John.
Actually, my notes said that the outstanding reports were by April 9th, but the required request for certificate of compliance within 1 month by April 16th.
Mhm,
That would be from the meeting of the 12th, I believe.
mhm.
okay, but that was in the letter, so they know the deadline on that. Okay,
And we've received the reports. Didn't we get a dump of all the reports they were supposed to have sent us?
oh, well, some of them, yeah,
Mhm. And
at least they
um,
did, okay. Okay, and
okay.
same at 42 Hartford, we got some reports from Paul McGovern, and they know April 16th is the COC request deadline, okay.
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 42 Hartford, Paul McGovern, he did send the reports, but he said they're not ready for the certificate of compliance submittal yet. He said they're not at the place in the project to request for certificate of compliance at this time.
Oh,
That makes sense. Jen, I assume you've been out there. Do you any idea what stage they're at with the house? Is it
well, I know
plastered or?
it's on the market. It's on the market, so I just assumed they had,
Oh, no, I mean, is the lawn in, or is it,
the last time I was out there, it looked like the lawn was in. Yeah,
mhm.
I
So
mean,
think, I mean,
it's yet, but
it's not unusual for during construction that the fine tuning, everything is focused on the interior and especially during the winter, and then they'll get to the exterior. They can still market during then. They just won't be able to, they won't get a COC. the question there is as as spring progresses, whether we make any rattling that with no COC, no closing is typically we can make it clear maybe in April. Actually, April's coming up very fast. By the end of April, that we're not going to be jumping through hoops to grant a COC. We're going to go through it. We don't want a last minute COC request. But I'm not surprised that they're still finishing the house while they're marketing the house.
It has to come in 2 weeks before meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't act on it. That's just the rule.
No. Yep. And we've we've had homeowners come in, but it's these people know better. And even homeowners who've been much more we've been less willing to bend over backwards for that.
Okay. 14 Rule Drive, this is the Pat Corrigan property where they cut a lot of trees. We asked them to submit an NOI. It was due today, and they asked for an extension until April 2nd. So I need the commission's approval on that.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, do you want a formal vote or do you want just a verbal?
Just a week.
I mean,
Or
we're not gonna meet until the end of the month, so can we just extend it to, they need to get it to us so we can review it next time?
Well,
Like April 2nd's fine, I don't want us to like be April 2nd and then we're doing this in July.
yeah, I think
Yeah, why don't we-
they've asked for just till April 2nd. And quite honestly, because we're skipping a meeting, I'm afraid there's going to be a real
Pack meeting.
backlog of things that are going to have reviewed. And I don't want to leave everything for like a week before a meeting. So,
This sounds good.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, then let's, so they've requested the extension to the 2nd.
yes.
Okay, so, all in favor, everyone?
Sure.
Sure.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay.
Okay, 31 Springdale Ave, we are still waiting for the owner's revised restoration plan. As you saw the emails from last week, Amy had noticed that they were bringing in fill, gravel, and Will Mitchell responded that that was to finish their previous project under a determination of applicability. I did drive by as well, and I think that was accurate. But this has been going on for over a year now. And I just think giving him a firm deadline and letting them know there'll be penalties. I don't know what else, what other action to take here. I know he was trying to find, he thought Goddard had gotten too expensive and he was trying to find someone else. I don't think Joyce is taking on new clients right now, so I don't think GLM is an option.
I think I mentioned I'll give GLM a call just because GLM has the plans on this. They did one of the original ones. They did the original septic. So maybe if it's viewed as actually at the very least, when I spoke to Will was to get that left line surveyed so that DLCT and we know what's going on over there, and that's the area that was supposedly filled. It appears like it may have been filled before his time, but at least we can get that ironed out. I think
John, there was definitely new fill on that left side. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well then, yeah, then that's the even more reason to get it surveyed and find out. So you've been at, when was the last time you actually had a chance to walk that property?
I met with Paul McManus and
Okay, back then.
Goddard.
Do you
So
know
that-
if Paul? So Paul, I think, was responding to the Goddard restoration plan. Do you know if Paul mentioned anything about apparent fill?
Yes. So my original enforcement order had photos of all the fill.
Oh,
And-
okay.
And then the restoration plan mentioned fill on that side. And then Paul's requested revisions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's
Okay, so at the very least, I'll reach out to GLM to see if they can squeeze in a survey line and possibly in so doing, and print out a set of plan, you know, the original plan for the septic. And the survey should locate that, and that, you know, will give us an ability to see what's, before and after.
Well, so we had an original enforcement order, and they got us pretty much all the information we needed. And then to record the restoration plan, Goddard started a restoration plan. It wasn't up to snuff. And then Paul issued his list of things that needed to be revised. So there's not that much work still to be done, but then that's
No,
stuck.
I don't understand, and I suppose what I can do is I can also call Goddard about that, because Will was saying Goddard was looking for an extra $8,000 or $10,000, which I was kind of along the same thought process as you, Janet, that basically Paul wanted additional plantings. He thought they were light on the plantings. There wasn't that much that he was looking for. But I'll look to pull that up unless you have easy access to those emails, and if you could resend those. But I'll look that up relative to how he addresses the fill portion of it. Regardless, that still needs to get surveyed. But I can find out from Goddard whether or not that's that seems excessive, but I'm not sure what else is involved there, or whether they're just so busy they're just throwing numbers out.
Yeah, I think the
so-
last email would have come from Paul with his
Okay.
copy on the revised plan, and that was maybe 2 months ago. Yeah, about 2 months.
Oh, is that okay? Okay, that recent. Okay.
Okay, next, another lingering enforcement, 29 Saddle Ridge. Lori had sent a letter out, the deadline for their submitting. Their restoration plan was today at noon. And Lori, did you get anything?
Lori?
So, John helped me with this letter, and it was mailed January 14th, and it stated the deadline as April 15th,
Mm-hmm.
not 3/26.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Regardless, I am anticipating, we'll see what happens. Does Goddard owe Ecotech any money? Not Goddard, Varden.
Right now, Varden does not.
Okay.
He's up to date.
Okay, because my concern is the way Goddard appears to be moving, whether they'll get, you know, they'll be responsive enough by the 15th. But let's stick to what we sent out in the letter. And we're really at this point, we're just looking for a restoration plan, and the assumption is he's going to ask for permission for a fence, you know, of some form. And you know, it's not rocket science. That's the frustration of this whole thing. It never was rocket science. We'll see what we can get done in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, the next was, I received a request from a homeowner at 34 Main Street. He wants to remove, there's an intermittent stream that goes through his backyard. He wants to remove more than 3 trees, but when he found out that required an RDA and that I had permission to approve 3, he said, oh, I'll just do 3 now, and then I'll do 3 later. And then 3. And it's like, that's not how the process is supposed to work. And I'll be honest, I'm getting more and more concerned about administratively approving tree removals. Sometimes they're simple, but half the time they're sort of on the fence as to whether they're really justified. I'm also finding 3 trees a year on most properties, it has a significant impact. If someone is, and there are folks who come every year for repeat 3 tree removals. And I don't think that is in the interest of protecting wetlands to just administratively allow that many trees to come down. Again, it's all case by case, but anyways, in this case, we know he wants to remove more than 3 trees. And it seems like he's kind of doing an end run around the process by just asking me to come out and remove 3 now, and then 3 in another year. And then, so I don't know how the commission feels about that. In the past, we have required an RDA for anything over 3 trees.
Can we give them 3 now, and when they come back next year, require an RDA because it's 6?
Yeah, that's kind of the point, is the look back. And what is the overall impact? I know,
And are they're currently, the 34 doesn't look that overrun with trees, except for a large one behind the house. Is there anything that's obviously encroaching? There, concerns, some people come in and they have looming pine trees that clearly are a danger. And those seem like pretty easy answers. I think the other thing is, from what I've been hearing about engineering companies and stuff, RDAs for things, some of these older houses that do have these looming trees, an RDA may cost somebody $3,000 or $4,000 when it used to be $1,500. I think, whether we can be an arbiter of something and not be too draconian. At the same time, somebody's looking to clear cut over the course of 5 years. I understand that concern, but on 34 Main, what are they really? I don't see that many trees for them to cut down unless they're looking to expand their yard. Is that what you think is going on there?
I don't know. I haven't been out yet.
Oh, okay.
But he called Lori, I think, and said, I want to take some trees down. And she said, well, the agent can approve up to 3 per year.
And do we know, does he have a stream running to the back, or do we know where the wetland is there?
I think it's towards the side, the back and the side.
Okay.
I think I've actually been out there before. I'm trying to keep now a log of tree removal requests, and Lori, maybe you can do the same, so that we can see over time who has requested trees in the past that we've approved, so that we don't have. I just think the policy of approving 3 per year should be looked at again. For overall impact, and I'm a little uncomfortable knowing that he wants to remove more trees.
And
So
did he give you a reason as to why, or is he a new buyer, or?
I don't know. I don't know all the details.
Okay. I think, a lot of this is contextual, dangerous versus aesthetics. And I don't have much of a problem with having you being a judge for certain things, and I think we have outlined it to people like they can do that, but that, he seems to be one of the first who basically is willing to make it a 5-year plan. Why don't we, that's duly noted. I think it's funny. I'm looking at Google Maps right at the moment, and that seems to be one of the on the surface a lot that is not in desperate need of having trees taken down. And I'm not sure how many more he thinks he could do, and also how close he is. Whether we give you the flexibility for things that are apparently outside the 50-foot BVW line. If that would make you feel more comfortable. So why don't we give that some more thought, and why don't we continue as proposed until our next meeting or the meeting after that?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We have received a notice of intent for our April 23rd meeting. This is at 8 Pagan. And you'll remember this is for a dam replacement project. I can't remember the name of the pond there. Fuller's Pond? Yeah, I think it's Fuller's Pond.
Mhm.
And based on, I have not done a dam removal or replacement project. And also given the other demands on my time, would like to recommend, just like with the Eversource project, that we have a third-party review for this NOI. I imagine Paul Ecotech has done a lot of dam replacements, but they can be complicated. You've got at least 4 resource areas involved. So that's my recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any idea how tall the dam is?
The dam, I'd say from the footings under the water, I'd say it's maybe 6 feet, 7 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
So
there
that,
was a dam there.
well, I figure, I'm looking at it and I figure, well, something has to make that pond. And, yeah, so, yeah, I think that makes sense. It's, might be a little beyond our actual knowledge. So, I'll entertain a motion.
Sorry, I was distracted.
What's that?
I was distracted for a moment. I gotta.
Oh, no, just a motion to, approve, third-party review for the dam improvement, project at 8 Pagan Lane.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
So Lori, could you forward that NOI to Paul and maybe ask for a quote for that review? And then let the applicant know, just so they're not surprised at the meeting.
Great.
Great. Okay, let's see, new stormwater management bylaw regs. So there was a hearing yesterday with the Board of Selectmen. They approved the regulations with some minor changes. And this is a really good thing. This is going to protect areas outside the 100-foot buffer that could impact within the buffer. It'll be controlling stormwater erosion. And also there is now the entire perimeter of a lot, the trees within the setbacks of a lot, which is generally 30 feet, I think 40 feet in the front, will now require a review and some tree protection. And I've been meeting with Mike and trying to figure out and also Walter, the building inspector, the best way. We are going to start an education campaign to let developers and realtors and tree companies know what the new requirements are. But procedurally, I think it makes sense to require applicants to first go to Mike for review under 159 for stormwater. So that if he has comments, and he's also looking within the buffer zones as well, for stormwater issues. But as long as we have his comments, then we can open a hearing and move probably that along much quicker. Otherwise, an applicant's going to get a permit from us, then they have to go to him. He may have changes, and then they're going to have to come back to us again. And the 159 permit review process is much less expensive and time consuming than our review.
So does that allow, so say somebody has trees in the front of the yard and they want to change their driveway, and it's not on a scenic road. Is there a charge associated with that review, or a cost per tree, or is it just the fact that they're subject to review?
So you'd have to really look at the regulations, but there are first a number of triggers. It's disturbance of 5,500 square feet or more, 100 cubic feet yard of fill. What is the other trigger? There are a couple other triggers. And if they trigger those, then they have to get this stormwater management permit from Mike. That includes looking at the tree setback areas. So if they want to remove any of those trees first of all, they have to show that there's no alternative for a tree removal. Say it's a new septic system. Sometimes the only place is where there are trees.
Mhm.
But there is mitigation either on site or there's a very specific, the cost of the trees to be replaced. And at this year's town meeting, there's going to be a tree fund created so people can put money in a tree fund. And I was going to ask Mike Blanchard if we could include, if we might be able to use that too. But anyways, the regs, which I don't have right in front of me, I think there's a set cost for each tree in terms of the size of the tree, the per inch.
Mhm.
If they can't replace on site, then they have to put money into the tree fund.
And if somebody just wants to take a tree down because, you know, it's crowding out other trees or for whatever reason, is there a no cost ability to that? And knows they're not doing it filled, they're not disturbing the land. They just want to take a tree down. Do they have to get permission to do that within those setbacks?
Yes, if they've triggered the other, yes,
Yeah.
if.
And
both-
do they have to pay for it if you know, if it's an isolated tree, do you know, or
Yes. So it's
so
$200 an inch for a tree between 1 inch and 20 inches, 300 if it's larger, 21 to 75, and 400 an inch DBH if it's over 75 inches.
75 inches diameter?
Yes,
Well,
That's
I
a
haven't
big-
seen one of those. Yeah, I
Big-
haven't seen one of
Big
those for.
tree.
That's gonna, I predict that this is gonna take up an inordinate amount of time in the May town meeting. So,
Actually-
but anyway,
actually, so the bylaw passed last year,
Yeah.
town. The only thing we're going for this year.
but it
It's-
didn't have dollar amounts, though, did it?
Well, that was in the regulations that were just passed yesterday by the
Right,
select.
so, no, so when the money comes out, where somebody wants to take down a tree, you know, and it's gonna cost them $2,400 or more. Well, that's only a 12-inch tree, so if they wanna take down a 20-inch tree, it's gonna cost them $4,000. We're gonna have some people talking about that.
But those
So-
regulations were just approved. So the only thing being approved at town meeting this year is the revolving tree fund that the money will
Bill-
go in.
Then that sounds like a bypass that people didn't actually get a chance to vote on the amount of money per inch. And that will come up. You know, it sounds, I understand, and I'm all in favor of, you know, controlling some tree cutting, but when it comes down to telling somebody that, you know, they have is there an appeal process or anything like that embodied in that?
I think there is an appeal process.
And
I'd have to
you
go
know,
through.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I have two 36-inch, maybe 40-inch trees in my front yard that are Norway maples that are 100 years old. And they're just dropping limbs like crazy. But I would not want to have to pay $16,000 to, you know, in addition to taking them down. It's, you know, it's those types of things that can get people a little perturbed in
So
terms of.
there is a provision for a waiver. So
Mhm.
you apply for a waiver and there is sort of a reasonableness check.
Yeah, no, that's as long as, yeah, I'm just curious, because it's, I just given previous town meetings, there are certain hot buttons that tend to eat up time. Other than additional police vehicles,
Yeah.
so.
So my,
You're forgetting trucks at the DPW.
Right. No, you can't.
so my proposal, since we already have gotten some filings in for the late April meeting, would be that there is a filing deadline on April 23rd for the May 14th meeting. So my suggestion is that starting with any new filings for the May 14th meeting, that we require applicants to at least have a consultation with the town engineer to see if the new stormwater regs apply. And if they do, they secure a permit first from the town engineer and then come to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That gave everyone time and money, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you have a copy of the, of what was voted on?
Yes, I sent that out last week.
Oh, okay.
I sent the regs out.
Mm-hmm.
Was that last week? Yeah, or over the weekend, maybe.
Duke. Yeah, I see a public hearing on, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like, so what I see from, the 22nd was, info that helped draft the regulations, and the copy of the new regulations. So those new regulations that you sent out were approved?
Yes.
Okay. So folks, that's on, yeah, March 22nd at 11 o'clock. Okey doke.
So, Lori, I will type something up and send that to you, and if you could put that on our website so that, and then as people start contacting you about filing something, if you can let them know they'll need to get a permit from the town engineer, if it applies.
So how will I know if it applies?
I think the best thing to do is say anyone coming to us for a permit, even an RDA, would need to consult the town engineer to determine if a permit applies. So it would be Mike's call.
So
is
do
that
we
for-
wait until they submit an RDA and an NOI? Because once they submit it, we're supposed to have the hearing within 21 days. So do we
Well-
just have them see Mike, while they're waiting for their hearing?
Well, like any new, we're trying to, Walter and Mike and I are all trying to work out the best way to implement this, and it's not going to be perfect to begin with.
No, but that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, usually people contact you in advance, not always.
No, not always. Sometimes things just come in. I don't even know they're coming. Sometimes they do. I
think
mean,
as long as the commission is in agreement that will require the stormwater management consultation and permit before, then I don't think we have to accept the application because of that prerequisite.
okay, so we should not accept it and put it in while we wait for Mike's review, or can he do his review while they're waiting for their hearing?
I guess we could go ahead and open and then wait.
Because I think we're gonna run into trouble with keeping track of who's at 21 days and everything else. And sometimes things can be mailed to me certified. How do you refuse that? So even if things come in and I just send them to Mike, I send a copy to Mike. Maybe when they email you and I, they copy Mike so that he can have it at the same time,
But Mike's jurisdiction is beyond the 100-foot buffer, so he'll require a different type of plan probably. But I'm not sure. Let me think about the sequencing a little bit more. I guess if we get something, we could go ahead and open and then continue pending Mike's issuance of a permit.
Yeah,
or
because I don't think we can ignore it or refuse it, but we can let Mike know if that's.
I'm looking at the PowerPoint for the regulations there, and it mentions a threshold for stormwater mitigation. And it's in one of the things clearly listed on there is any activity requiring a wetland permit.
Yeah.
So what I'm anticipating is something that would be, we would have to several things, change our website. So it says that, before applying for an RDA or NOI, or making any application through conservation, that it's required that they check in with the highway department to see if this comes under stormwater regulations. So that way we have something that people can see on the website that, tells them that that's required. I think that we're gonna have to flesh this out now that this has become real. and figure out the most expeditious way for this, so that when people call, we may still get some over the transom things, but if people call, we can tell them you have to go there first. Let's double check with Mike if that's something that he is ready for. But in essence, we get 16 or 18 of those a year, so it shouldn't be that bad. But it says any sort of wetland permit has to, in essence, has to run through them for review.
Right. Yep.
And I'm looking at it, the storage of more than 100 cubic yards of fill relative to Bobby Keene, that actually happened before this bylaw, before they voted on these rules.
No, but the bylaw was in effect, John.
And did the bylaw say that I have the same designation?
Yes.
Okay, so these are just the regulations for,
So this, it flushes out like fees, application
Mhm.
process, that type of
Mhm.
thing. But
Mhm.
bylaw, he still needs to comply with that bylaw.
Mhm. So, yeah, I'm just wondering, just thinking whether he would push back on it. Okay, I think, so we're gonna have we'll have a little teething process here.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Let's see, I sent out my April Town newsletter article. If people can give me their comments by Friday at noon. A couple other new things. Let's see, John, I didn't know on the rail trail and wetlands meeting, should we just wait to schedule it until you're back?
If that's okay, I would appreciate that, because it gives us the time to check in with Paul to see what he did, in an earlier iteration. Because I think, there's not that much that will have changed. I think it might be very helpful. I saw the town's gonna be using another engineer, and their response was, that might be helpful, but, we're not overly excited about reviewing someone else's work, was my takeaway from that. But it may help not reinventing the wheel. Yeah, I think, and that gets us a little towards mid to late April, makes any site visits more predictive.
Okay. All right, let's see. And then I don't know if you wanted to talk about 92 Pine Street at all, John?
Sure. Did you happen to review anything and find out, did we give him permission to take trees down a number of
No.
years ago?
So this was like 4 years ago? Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago.
Maybe more, yeah. Mm-hmm.
A call of someone removing trees and doing work really close to the wetland. So
Mm-hmm.
can't recall if it was an enforcement situation. I think it was. So it was an after the fact. He had to stabilize the work area, which was a mess. We never gave him approval to take down trees. But
So it was the enforcement area. Did we mention stump grinding?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Lori, can you dig around and pull whatever file we have on 92 up? And so I went out to 92. I'd been out there before because he had been complaining about 88, our friends who are looking to put the well in by their driveway, complaining that the previous owners had changed the grading so it was flooding his backyard. And at that time, there was no indication that was the case. It just was a year that had a lot of debris in the stream that was causing issues in a very wet year. I went out yesterday or Monday, and he had a local wood guy in to do some stump grinding in his backyard. There were some ruts in some wet soil, but the wetland line, there was the holdover of his erosion control barrier that he was required to put in, I believe back 4 or 5 years ago, was still there. There was a massive decaying stump of a tree that had to be more than 100 feet tall that had fallen and actually hit his house. And I guess that's what started his concern 5 years ago or whatnot. So why don't we, I told him to wait to hear from us, that he need to get his guy in and take care of, there were a couple very small, tire tracks in there. He wanted to top dress it with loam. I mentioned a conservation mix. It looks so loomy already. I said he may not need, top dressing, and that to not do anything outside of flattening out the tire tracks until he hears back from us. And then Lori can pull out the file. We'll see what was actually determined at the time. And then she wanted to plant a couple willows, which I thought were a phenomenal idea for there because it's moist. And he spoke very highly of you, Janet. And so you had some interaction there. And then so he seems willing to comply. I just don't know whether he non-complied already. So we'll get some clarification on that, and then we'll move forward.
Okay, great. That's all for me.
Okay.
I had one thing I forgot to mention. So sustainability, we got all excited and we're putting together a grant application for the MVP plan, Municipal Vulnerabilities Program, to do a climate action plan. And just heard this morning, so I need to talk about it with the committee, but just heard this morning that we have to wait till the fall for that deadline, but the grant might be available for water resources. So I was going to ask for a letter in support, but we don't know what we're asking for yet, so I don't terribly want to do that.
Yeah, right.
But I'll keep everyone posted. So we'll be talking more about that. But yeah, we're thinking about a climate action plan, and hopefully we'll do a grant.
And is that federal money or state? Or...
It's state money, but I believe there's some federal funding that feeds into it, so we don't really know how that's working.
Right. So, but if this, maybe state receive money and who knows? But yeah, obviously it's a concern. But what off the top of your head, what type of thing do you think of in terms of water resources that might be something that you could address?
Don't know exactly. We know one of the things we were tasked with was seeing if we could come up with recommendations based on the selectmen's report, because the report didn't go into it. So that might be something to target. Also open to suggestions if folks here have ideas.
No, I think it's something and maybe find out if any other applicants for that sort of stuff, or if there was a previous round, and that might give us an idea of how how people utilized it.
I think most of it has gone into the MVP plans and then projects people have had when they've done the grants, but they're redoing the application process, so they're like splitting it up this year.
Okay. Great, thank you. Commissioners, anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Janet that I read her article, and I think it's terrific.
Great.
Thank you,
Earth Day, what a concept. All those years ago, we thought, oh, it won't take long to straighten out this all out. Okay, thanks everyone for fighting the battle.
Thank you. Hopefully, John, are you going somewhere far away and fun?
Yeah, it's fun.
It could be, it's not far. It does begin with an F and an L. But and it's with family, so fun.
Okay.
So
but
it should be warm. So I definitely know it's gonna be warm. So and there should be a blues festival involved and a few things like that. So
that's great.
Sounds like fun.
Looking forward to it.
Enjoy.
Net fun.
Thank you. Yeah, net fun. Right, exactly. So thanks much, everyone. So hearing no objections tonight. And Sarah, we went through a lot of stuff tonight. How did I do?
And you were very good on time, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So all good.
I relish that. So okay. See you.
At all.
Night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Night. See you in a month.